well, attempting one of the gravity flyers, so I decided to try one out. These are all the additions that I was adding on the segment. I have ferromagnetic, this is abbreviation, copper, bismuth, and silicon carbide. And this is right here with the quartz, actually using sodium acetate M3 and dropping seed in it to solidate it, along with, as this is a platform I have here as legs. I have permanent magnets, heavy ceramic permanent magnets that are on the legs. This is capacitors. The capacitors should be metal bond with this sheet right here. This is another titanium sheet. These are ultracapacitors bearing permanent magnets right here. And what's going to happen is the solenoid coil is going to go around here, and that will allow for a linear push upward. Because remember that even though this may be rotary, it still would have to move in a linear motion and straight in the air. So I tightened the magnets alongside the surfaces. I cut down the flat part piece of it and bent it down. See how it's separate from this one? And I bent it down and stuck it upward so that the windings will be face downward when it winds the right angle. So that's like the legs, and the capacitor is going to add a voltage to these surfaces, the metal surfaces right here at the top. This is where the coils go, and the coil, pancake coils, consecutively, one after another, goes in the central. Now, in the following, right here, is where the permanent magnets go. This is a percussion, obviously, you see that, it's brass, and I've added permanent magnets on it. I have to assemble it properly and correct. I just coupled it on it just to see what it does. And the voltage, what happens is the magnets synchronize. I'm also going to have capacitors for this too, so that the energy of the diamagnetic, the energy of the paramagnetic fluxes to the copper sheet that I'm going to have coupled on the bottom of this to close over, separating it by these pillars of permanent magnets, and bolted into here so that the copper sheet will be moving away from the paramagnetic sheet, which is following this titanium, is going to be aluminum sheet. The reason why I'm stacking these because I wanted to act as a Faraday cage law. So, and I also wanted to act as a multi-emitter. So one sheet of aluminum where I'm seeing a voltage to it from the capacitors to the coils to synchronize upward and push the energy of the copper sheet upward, downward, where the capacitor is going to be localized here and attached to the copper sheet, and going to send a flux to the copper sheet, and that's going to radiate back down towards the aluminum sheet. And both common particles are going to move upward, right hand rule. The strongest one going to outrule it. So the coil bearings right here have to be more than the inertial mass. That means that in this coil bearing must be at least 75% of its inertial, 50% of its inertial mass. So the 50-50-50, 100%. So 50-50, this is 100, 50-50, this is 200%. So the coil turns should be starting, not limiting to 12 feet. Every 12 feet of wire is 1 Tesla. 1 Tesla is 11-pound force. 1 Tesla is 10,000 Gus. So, therefore, I'm going to try to make as much Teslas around here as possible. So, every 12 feet is going to be a wrapping of 12 feet. It's not that long. It's going to be about, I'll say, if I can do anywhere from 30 Teslas, which is like 30 12 feet, more than 30 Teslas per horn. And that will also synchronize the capacitor. I plan to change the capacitors and probably want to make my own, because I do want to make holes in the capacitor so it can bleed and release the ion dust so it won't explode. That's one thing. What I want to do, so I'm going to pierce these capacitors with my solder gun without tampering with the foil behind it, and just allow it to breathe, so it won't explode. And that's the following. So it's like tablets for the legs of the gratifier, or I guess lifter, and obviously you see I have magnets on it. I'll follow up with the brackets of the ball bearing brackets, the vertical ball bearing brackets, and that'll be about it. I have the power source, I have the filter, I have the filters, I got a motor capacitor, I got ReJA rectifiers, I got here some filters, EMI filter, induction filter. This is about 2,000 watts. I have buck step up modules. I have I got high frequency filter. I got step up. This is a buck booster, kilohertz, just to test it out anyway. But I still have another filter that I just put together too. This is an EMI filter right here. This is a single phase EMI filter, and I have a connector that taped it to a dimmer. This is a dimmer, 10,000 watt dimmer, and I have 2 linked in a chain under the tape. I don't know if you can see that. Linked in the chain, I have 2 bridge rectifiers linked together to make 400 amps of pressure, and I have it wired to this filter, this electromagnetic induction filter. You see it, and hopefully it should work. And well, so that's how I'm gonna do it, and you'll see what I come up with next. Goodbye.